Hi, welcome to the 2021 Autumn Ridge 19BH. We're going to start this video orientation on the outside of the trailer. And we're going to start here at the front storage compartment. This storage compartment is not a pass-through, as you can see, and it houses your manual crank for your stabilization jacks. It has a nice light in case you're loading at night, you can see. And just to the front of the storage compartment, we'll see the solar ready hookup. You can check the information to see what solar panel is compatible with the unit. We're going to continue along the front. We have your bottle cover, your propane storage here. This unit has a single 20-pound bottle of propane. We have your battery storage, as well as your snap-up brackets. Now this is specific to a sway control system that we installed specifically for a customer and does not come stock on all units. Right below that we have your safety breakaway switch. The safety breakaway switch is important when attached to your tow vehicle. If it becomes detached, it'll pull this pin here and engage the trailer brakes. Conversely, if you notice that the trailer brakes are engaged or it's not towing properly when you go to move it, one place you can look, or you should look, is the breakaway switch. Sometimes when hooking up or unhooking a trailer, it can get pulled just a bit, and that's enough to engage it. Continue on the front here, we have your manual tongue. You come around, the first thing we'll come to is your potable water input. This is where you put your clean drinking water. We'll continue along the outside here. Come to your 30 amp power supply. This is what you'd hook up to your camp power. Next we'll come to the outside access to your hot water tank. There's a few things to note in here. One being the drain plug or drain hole. Now this rod is designed to stop the tank itself from corroding. So this rod inserted, nothing special of installing it, you just thread it in there the same as you normally would. Before you remove a drain plug, though, it's always important that you open the pressure relief valve. If you do not open this first and you undo this, it'll come shooting out of there. There's a lot of pressure built up in those hot water tanks. And then the other thing of note is the reset. So if you're inside the trailer and trying to light and it tries a couple times and it doesn't light, turn it off and come out and press the reset, give it a minute and try it again. Then right below here we have the output for the black water tank right there, as well as the valve for the black water and the valve for the gray water tank right here. Previously I'd mentioned the crank in the front storage compartment for the stabilizing jack. Here is one of the stabilizing jacks here. This unit has them at the back two corners of the trailer, and they are used to stabilize the trailer, not to level it. So what you should do is get the pretty close to level, then use the manual jack. You crank these down till they make contact with the ground. And just above your outside access for your hot water tank, we have your cable or satellite TV input for the trailer. So, cable from your campground, this is where you'd plug it into. Continue around the outside, come around the back, and this is where they have the city water connection, or the spot you put the garden hose that comes from the campground water supply. Up top here, see we have a housing for a rear view camera. Makes it nice and simple. It's pre-wired and there's a housing there. You just take the camera, put it in that housing, and it's good to go. Back to where we started almost. Now in each end or head of the awning, we have a speaker, and those speakers are controlled from the stereo inside the trailer. Also of note is the fridge vent. Now this fridge vent is needed to stay obstruction free in order for the proper functioning of your refrigerator. Maximum airflow is needed to come up through here in order for it to work properly. And lastly, we have your Gfci plug. I always like to make note when the exhaust for the furnace is underneath the awning. Now it does say that this is hot, but it does get pretty warm. So if you're underneath here, you have kids or anything like that, just make sure that they stay clear from there, because it will get warm. So we'll see, first off, as we've come through the door, we'll look down and have a couple of important pieces of safety equipment. The first one being the carbon monoxide and the propane detector. It's a good idea to test this every so often. My suggestion is usually every 6 months with daylight savings time, and you can test this by pressing the button on the front. It'll make a bunch of loud beeps and then go back to a green light, and that lets you know that it's working. So when you test this every 6 months at daylight savings time, I would also test this, your smoke detector. Then the other piece of important equipment down here that for our safety is your fire extinguisher. Next, we'll go to your storage under the bed. Take a look at your range top. Nice lighting here. But most importantly is how to light this. You turn this knob, it has a light position. Gas will come out. And as the gas is coming out, with that in the light position, turn the sparker knob. Do the same thing for all three. Turn to the light position, leave in the light position, and then turn the sparker. Next, we'll come to your refrigerator. It can run on gas or electric. If you turn it on, we have gas mode. We have auto mode, which will go to gas or electric. It'll take electric power if it's present, or then we have just electric. These are capacitive touch buttons, so you don't have to press them very hard. And then we can turn the fridge off. The next thing we want to talk about is the unit GFCI. The GFCI plug on the load side will probably carry the load for anything around water, so plug in the bathroom, plug outside. If any of those plugs aren't working, the first thing I would do would be to come in here and take a look at your GFCI. And if that red light's on, hit the little black button at the top and reset it, and then you should have power at those receptacles again. Here we have your bunk. We have under bunk storage. We also have access via a couple screws for your hot water tank. And the important part about accessing the inside portion of your hot water tank is the bypass. If you don't winterize the trailer by yourself, then the bypass probably isn't as important, but if you do, the bypass is where you basically bypass any of the antifreeze from going into the hot water tank, because you can drain that. You don't need to fill it full of antifreeze. If you need access to the inside of your hot water tank, it's underneath the bottom bunk. A couple of Red Robertson screws, and lift that up and you'll be good to go. Next, we want to talk about your air conditioning unit here. First, we'll have your temperature control from cold to coldest, and then we have the ability to run just the fan if you turn it this way, or the fan and AC if you turn it to this direction. Okay, we have your radio right here. Now, previously I had mentioned that there were speakers outside that you could play music on from the stereo inside. Well, here is said stereo. So we have two zones. Zone 1 is the inside of the trailer, and Zone 2 are the speakers outside. So this particular stereo, you can play the radio or music or whatever you're listening to on Zone 1 or zone 2, or you can play it on zone 1 and zone 2, or whatever combination you can think of. But this unit also has Bluetooth, USB and HDMI hookup capabilities. You see right there we have your thermostat. Right now it's in the off position. If you click it all the way over to the left, it's all the way off. And to turn it on, you basically click it, move it to the right, and it'll move you over to your desired temperature. The last thing that I wanted to show you is the load center. This is on the bunk, and it has where you will find your breakers like you'd have in your house, or where you'd have fuses like you might see in your car. Now these fuses, if one of them's burnt out, you will actually get a red light that lights up beside it, so it takes kind of some of the guesswork out. And as far as the breakers go, usually what I do, you won't be able to tell if something's tripped necessarily all the time, because when it trips, it doesn't always flick all the way down. So you might have to look a little closer at the breakers themselves. But they're pretty straightforward, and they work the same way they do in your house. That is it for the tour of your 2021 Autumn Ridge BH. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm sure you might have some questions. If you do, that's okay. Feel free to give us a call and we'll do our best to answer the questions that you have. Thank you.